Alex had never been one to follow instructions. Not because he was rebellious, but because he spent so much time trying to read the fine print that he forgot what the instructions were actually for. That night, his apartment looked like a miniature control room had exploded inside a living space that also doubled as a laundry zone. Wires snaked across the carpet like electric snakes, half of them disappearing under a couch that was mostly buried under comic books, empty coffee mugs, and a suspiciously sticky slice of pizza that had been temporarily relocated there last week. He squinted at the homemade transmitter perched precariously on a folding table, its blinking lights casting a strange, uneven glow across the ceiling. "Okay, Alex," he muttered, twisting a dial with the precision of a man defusing a bomb, only he wasn't and probably shouldn't pretend to be. "Let's not blow up the planet tonight. Satellite signal, check. Recalibration, check. Sanity, debatable." As he pressed the final button, a soft hum filled the room. He adjusted his glasses, which kept sliding down his nose, and leaned closer. "Signals transmitting," he said proudly, though it sounded more like a question than a statement. He tapped the side of the device, ignoring the sudden flicker of the green light that looked suspiciously like it was trying to wink at him. A flash of blue-white light erupted in the corner of the room, and for a moment, Alex thought he had broken physics itself. Then the air shimmered like heat above a desert road, and a figure slowly materialized in the middle of the chaos. She was human, almost perfectly so, except for the long, elegant ears curling gently toward the ceiling, giving her an otherworldly grace. Her hair shimmered like liquid silver under the flickering lights, and her eyes glowed faintly, shifting colors like a mood ring that could read cosmic emotions. Alex's jaw hit the floor, which, combined with the pile of comics, caused a minor avalanche of paper. Hi," he said, voice wobbling. I think you might be in the wrong apartment, or possibly the wrong planet." The girl tilted her head slightly, ears flicking with the grace of a cat. "I am Lyra," she said, her voice melodious but slightly accented in a way that made Alex's brain hurt in a pleasant way. "Your signal summoned me. You owe me hospitality under Protocol 47 of the Universal Summoning Accord." Alex blinked rapidly, trying to process this. I think you misheard me. I was just trying to ping satellites, not summon aliens. Definitely not the intergalactic kind." He gestured weakly to the transmitter, which was now humming louder like it agreed with him. "Look, I'm sorry, my bad, cosmic oops." Lyra's lips curved into something suspiciously like a smile. "A cosmic oops, fascinating. Your species' humor is erratic." She reached toward a small device on her wrist, and with a flick, a holographic projection of a desert planet filled the center of the room. Alex swore the couch wobbled under the sudden weight of imaginary sand dunes. "You must help me navigate human domesticity while I am here. It is customary." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Human domesticity, huh? Step 1. Don't touch the coffee. Step 2. Don't touch the, oh no, wait, Step 2 is don't touch anything that isn't nailed down, or is nailed down." He tripped over a stray wire, and the ensuing chaos made Lyra laugh. Or at least emit a sound that Alex interpreted as laughter. "Delightful. Your clumsiness will make this learning experience amusing." Despite the absurdity of the situation, Alex found himself grinning. There was something thrilling about the surreal normalcy of it all. "So, welcome to my humble chaos," he said, picking up the pizza slice and setting it back on the couch. "Hope you like cheese. And possibly fungus, depending on how long that's been there." Lyra's ears twitched. "Interesting. Your species consumes processed cow byproducts and preserves them in cellulose enclosures. Noted." She waved her hand, and with a subtle shimmer a small counter appeared beside the couch, counting calories in real time. Alex stared at it. You do that with magic." "Science," she corrected, though there was a faint chuckle in the tone. "Though your definitions of science and magic are amusingly overlapping." Over the next hour, Alex introduced her to the basics of human apartment life. Microwaves, Wi-Fi routers, and the delicate art of binge-watching sitcoms while eating things that technically could count as food. Lyra was bewildered, fascinated, and occasionally disastrous. When she tried to toast bread energetically, something she insisted was a standard culinary technique on Alethar. The kitchen briefly entered zero gravity, causing a bag of flour to float like a cloud over Alex's head. "I warned you about the gravity," Alex yelled, flailing, and the cat vanished with a squeal as it floated past the ceiling fan. Lyra's eyes glowed violet as she tried to apologize. "Your species' gravity is temperamental. It resists me." "Yeah," Alex panted, brushing flour from his hair. "You could say that." He leaned against the counter and laughed, a little hysterical, a little thrilled. "You know, this is officially the weirdest night of my life, and I once got stuck in a porta potty during a tornado drill." Lyra tilted her head and emitted a soft, melodic sound. "Your humor is strangely comforting." As the humming from the transmitter died down, and the room settled back into a precarious normal, Alex realized something important. He didn't want her to leave. The thought was as absurd as everything else that had happened, but there it was, sitting quietly in the corner of his mind. Somewhere in the jumble of wires, spilled coffee, floating flour, and silver hair, a connection had been made. One signal, one mistake, and suddenly, Alex's life was no longer just about late-night experiments and burned toast. He glanced at Lyra, who was examining the coffee mug like it might reveal the secrets of the universe. "So," he said, trying to sound casual despite the adrenaline still buzzing through his veins, "how long are you planning to stay?" Lyra's eyes shifted from silver to a soft gold, a subtle signal he didn't understand but felt nonetheless. "Until your hospitality proves adequate," she said, and Alex knew, with a mixture of dread and excitement, that his ordinary, messy life had officially become extraordinary. And that, he realized with a resigned groan and a crooked smile, was only the beginning. The next morning, Alex woke to the sound of a small explosion in the kitchen, followed by a soft, melodic cursing that sounded suspiciously like a song. Rubbing the sleep from his eyes, he stumbled into the living room, only to find Lyra kneeling before the toaster, her long ears twitching nervously, a faint shimmer of violet flickering across her skin. She had somehow turned the toaster into a microgravity field, and bread slices hovered lazily in the air, spinning like satellites. "Good morning," Alex said, stepping carefully over a floating mug. "Breakfast is flying today." Lyra's eyes glimmered. "Your species' culinary instruments are resistant to my modifications. I only wanted toast with proper structural integrity." She extended a hand, and a small beam of energy nudged the bread gently into the plate. It landed perfectly, though slightly singed, which Alex decided to interpret as a success. He picked up a slice and bit into it, nodding appreciatively. "Yep, a little burnt, a little magical, I like it." The morning unfolded in a haze of minor chaos and unexpected discoveries. Lyra was fascinated by every mundane object Alex pointed out, treating his bookshelf as a museum of primitive knowledge. When he attempted to explain the function of his Wi-Fi router, she accidentally created a holographic overlay, turning the room into what looked like a miniature, star-mapped version of the galaxy. A packet of instant noodles floated gently around the room, orbiting him like a tiny moon. "How do humans live like this?" she asked, half in awe and half in genuine confusion. "It is anarchic." "Anarchic? Sure, we'll go with that," Alex replied, ducking under the orbiting noodles. "But it's cozy chaos. You get used to it eventually." After breakfast, or what passed for breakfast when bread slices occasionally flew into the ceiling, Alex decided it was time to introduce Lyra to the wonders of Earth entertainment. He set up the TV and cued a classic sitcom, explaining the concept of laugh tracks and canned applause. Lyra watched, utterly fascinated, her eyes shifting color with every punchline. "Your humor relies on auditory cues," she observed. "Interesting. On Alethar, we rely on telepathic laughter, less messy." Alex laughed. Yeah, messy is definitely one word for it. Also, keep an eye on the remote. It has a habit of sprouting legs and hiding under the couch. By midday, the apartment had transformed into a hybrid of human clutter and alien wonder. A small sphere of zero gravity hovered above the sofa, a byproduct of Lyra testing the limits of her abilities. Alex had discovered he could manipulate some of her technology with simple gestures, but only after almost decapitating himself with a hovering toaster lever. Maybe we should stick to simpler experiments, he suggested, though he was secretly thrilled by the possibilities. Lyra tilted her head, a faint hum escaping her lips. Simplicity is underwhelming. I prefer optimization, efficiency, elegance. She gestured to a stack of papers on the table, and they instantly organized themselves into neat columns floating midair. Alex stared at them. Neat. I usually just shove everything into a drawer and hope for the best. The afternoon brought their first major collaborative experiment, a communication test to see if Earth signals could be enhanced using Lyra's technology. Alex nervously adjusted dials while Lyra hovered over the console, her fingers tracing patterns in midair that glowed softly. Each input she made caused the room to ripple, and at one point a small wormhole opened briefly over the sink, sucking in a few dust bunnies before closing with a soft pop. Alex swore. Okay, maybe we need a manual for this stuff, or a helmet, or possibly a priest. Lyra tilted her head and emitted a laugh-like vibration. Humor in the face of chaos is effective. Your species' resilience is charming. As the evening approached, Alex found himself genuinely enjoying Lyra's company. Despite the constant interruptions of floating furniture, sporadic bursts of energy, and the occasional spasm of alien technology, there was an ease between them, a rhythm that neither could quite define but both appreciated. He realized she was learning Earth's idiosyncrasies at an alarming rate, managing to drink coffee without creating a miniature black hole, making a bed without warping the mattress into a temporal anomaly. But her presence brought out his own creativity in ways he hadn't anticipated. They ended the day in a quiet moment of calm. Alex collapsed onto the sofa, exhausted but exhilarated. Lyra sat beside him, ears brushing his shoulder lightly, a faint silver glow radiating from her skin. You are different from what I expected, she said. Your species' creativity, emotional range, humor, chaotic, yes, but remarkable. Alex laughed, rubbing his temples. Thanks, I think, and you're way more than I expected, too. Magical toast, wormhole dust bunnies, and apparently psychic bread nudging. You're like a science experiment with really good taste in hair. Lyra's eyes shifted from silver to a soft lavender, and she extended her hand. Alex hesitated, then reached out. Their fingers touched briefly, and he felt a strange warmth, like static electricity mixed with sunlight. Connection, she murmured. It is unusual but meaningful. Alex smiled, feeling a mix of awe and absurdity. Yeah, connection. Also chaos. Definitely chaos. And as the night deepened, with zero-gravity mugs still floating lazily, and the faint hum of alien tech blending with earthly electronics, Alex realized that the ordinary rules of life no longer applied. The world outside might remain mundane, but inside his apartment, with an alien girl who could manipulate reality like a painter with light and physics, everything had become extraordinary. And for the first time in a long while, Alex didn't mind that things were completely out of control. The first warning came as a soft, humming vibration under Alex's feet, subtle enough that he almost ignored it, until the floating toaster lever slammed into the wall, narrowly missing his head. Lyra's ears twitched sharply, silver strands of hair shimmering in warning. They are coming, she said, her voice calm but edged with an urgency that made Alex's stomach flip. Alethar retrieval units. Protocol mandates my immediate return. Alex blinked, staring at her. Retrieval units? You mean space cops, alien babysitters? Not babysitters, Lyra corrected, with a faint gleam of amusement. Interstellar authorities. Strict, efficient, unyielding. Before Alex could fully process this, a small crackling portal opened in the corner of the room. Through it, a sleek, insectoid drone hovered, its multifaceted eyes scanning, emitting low-frequency hums that made the hairs on his arms stand up. Alex instinctively ducked under a floating chair, narrowly avoiding a collision with a wayward loaf of bread that Lyra had absent-mindedly floated during a recent experiment. "Oh great," he muttered. "Space cops and flying carbs. Just what I needed today." Lyra waved her hand, and the zero-gravity field expanded, making the furniture and a very disgruntled cat drift lazily above them. "They are precise, but not unpredictable," she said. "We can entertain the situation creatively." She flicked her fingers, and a holographic maze projected around the drone, confusing its sensors. The drone hesitated, recalculating, giving Alex a brief moment to breathe, and for some reason laugh. "You know," he said, dodging a floating lamp, "if I survive this, I'm adding zero-gravity interior decorating to my resume." Lyra's eyes glowed a warm lavender, and she emitted a vibration that Alex recognized as her version of amusement. "Your humor under stress is remarkably resilient, effective." They spent the next tense minutes weaving through the chaos of floating furniture, holographic illusions, and improvised traps that Alex frantically suggested. At one point, he accidentally triggered a small wormhole over the sofa, which sucked the drone halfway through before snapping it back with a soft pop, leaving it momentarily disoriented. "Oops," Alex said, brushing imaginary dust off his shoulder. "Science experiment, maybe a little too scientific." "Impressive improvisation," Lyra admitted. "Your species adapts well when pressured." As the drone recalibrated, Lyra reached for Alex's hand. "We need a solution before the situation escalates." "Yeah," Alex said, grasping her hand. "And fast, any brilliant ideas?" Lyra tilted her head, ears flicking like radar dishes. "Yes, but it requires trust." Alex nodded. "Trust's my middle name." "Well, not really, but let's pretend it is." With a subtle gesture, Lyra combined her energy manipulation with Alex's improvised tech, creating a temporary interdimensional cloak around the apartment. Everything inside shimmered, invisible to the drone and any other external sensors. Alex could feel the hum of alien energy weaving through his fingertips, his body tense with exhilaration. "We make a good team," he whispered. "Agreed," Lyra replied, her eyes shifting to a soft gold. The retrieval drone, now unable to detect them, finally departed, buzzing in frustration before vanishing through the portal. Alex exhaled, flopping into the couch with a mix of relief and disbelief. Lyra floated beside him, long ears twitching with a faint glow. "Crisis averted," she said, "for now." They spent the remainder of the night experimenting, laughing, and sharing small moments of wonder. Alex discovered he could manipulate some of Lyra's energy constructs with a combination of gestures and spoken commands, and she marveled at his ingenuity, noting how human unpredictability could be a form of strategic advantage. "Your species' chaos is a tool," she said, gently nudging a floating cup so it spun neatly into a holder. By morning, the apartment was a mess of alien technology, floating objects, and half-eaten toast, yet the chaos no longer seemed threatening. Alex had learned to embrace it, to find patterns in the madness, and even to anticipate Lyra's more enthusiastic experiments. He had grown from a scatter-brained tinkerer into someone capable of focus, quick thinking, and a calm he didn't know he possessed. Lyra stood by the window looking out at the city. "I must return soon. Protocol requires my report, but I have learned much from you." Alex nodded, feeling a pang of bittersweet inevitability. "And I've learned from you." "About, well, everything. Gravity's negotiable, bread is dangerous, and apparently interstellar friendship is a thing." He smiled. "You're welcome to stay as long as you like, though. Just maybe fewer wormholes in the living room next time." Lyra's eyes glimmered softly. "Perhaps, but your world, your chaos, is uniquely enlightening. I will remember this. I will return." The portal to Alethar shimmered open in the living room, golden light spilling across the messy floor. Alex reached out instinctively and Lyra's hand met his. For a moment the universe seemed to pause, as if acknowledging the improbable bond between human and alien. "Goodbye," she whispered. "For now." "See you around," Alex replied, trying to keep his voice steady as the portal swallowed her figure. The hum faded, leaving behind only the quiet residual shimmer of alien energy and a floating coffee mug, slowly descending to the floor. In the days that followed,